Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to episode 84 of The Knife Guy. If you are new to my channel or you just came out of some weird corner of the internet and you have no idea where you are or who I am, I'm a knife guy. Knife enthusiast, knife collector, knife user, knife enjoyer of many sorts. We're all knife guys and gals in this super weird and crazy EDC and knife related world. We all go down our own unique paths, but oftentimes those paths intersect and we experience a lot of the same stuff. And that's the kind of stuff that I like to talk about in this series. I like to pick up knives that are either mine or some of my generous viewers. I like to kind of turn them over, look at them, flip them out, right? Just kind of fidget around while I talk about this stuff. Give you guys something to sit back and watch or listen to on this hopefully beautiful Sunday morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever it is that you are. So, thanks so much to my generous patrons for supporting me. There's a link for my Patreon right down in the description, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. What are we talking about today? We're talking about something that I talked about once on The Knife Guy already. A long time ago, and I'm going to talk about it again because we just had a major holiday go by, and this is something that I like to do, and I feel like a lot of you guys like to do this kind of thing. As knife people, if you're watching this video, you are more than likely, I'm sure there's a couple of people who actually did stumble out of, a Jake Paul video or something, but yeah, if you're watching this video, you are likely a knife person. You're somebody who enjoys knives for one reason or another, right? As knife people, we get so fascinated by this stuff, so intrigued by this stuff, that we want to talk about with other people. It's also, knives are things that are not totally accepted by everybody. They are misunderstood. There's a lot of people out there who do stupid things with knives. They see any knife and they think weapon. I can't tell you how. But here's the thing. If there's one person in here right now, I'm about to come down on somebody. If there's one person in here, right, who's thinking, every time I look at a knife, I love knives, but I just think about like all the different ways that I can use it as a weapon, right? If you're one of those people who, comes into one of my videos and says, that's such a terrible, like the other day I had somebody go, titanium is the worst material for a knife. It's way too bright and shiny, and they're going to see you coming every time. What? Wait, what? So the only perspective to consider is how non-reflective the surface is because you don't want people to see you because you're about to use the thing offensively or defensively? What a stupid comment. I'm not saying that those type of circumstances don't happen. Sure, but if you're coming at this as if the only perspective to consider when you're thinking about a knife is offensive or defensive as a weapon, that's ridiculous. If you're watching this right now and that's your mindset, oh man, I'm sorry, I feel bad for you, but sit back because take some time to explore my channel. I approach knives. My thought process is to think of knives as tools because 99.999% of people on the planet, for 99.999% of the things that they could have to do with a tool like a knife, right? They're tool scenarios, right? There's not. A lot of people get mad at me. They're like, is that really whatever the actual statistic is? It is massively in favor of knives being used as tools. Most knives are just being used as tools most of the time. Most knives are actually designed just as tools, right? Anyways, what the heck was I talking about? If you're like me and you're a knife enthusiast, right? You appreciate these. You use tools every day. Oh, I was talking about how some people are a little bit nervous about knives, and it's because of people like that. This person, right, Joe Bob that I was just talking about, who was just like, yeah, look at my knife, right? And he whips it out, and he's like, I could really do some damage with this. Those types of people ruin it for people like us who are just like, no, they're really not that, they're not that dangerous. They're interesting objects. Like a lot of times they're works of art. They're really convenient tools, right? You carry them, makes your day a little bit easier, right? There's a lot of joy here, right? the weapon guys, right? The smoke shop sword guys, those are the guys who ruin it for everybody else, right? But anyways, we got people who are maybe intrigued but a little bit nervous around them. Those are the types of people that knife enthusiasts like me really love to sit down and talk with, right? Really love to sit down and explore, whether or not, a pocket knife might make their life easier. And then ultimately, get them one as a gift, right? Explain, hey, they're really, not something to be afraid of. They can make your life a little bit easier. I love taking somebody who's not really a knife person, right? But it shows a little bit of interest. So you don't want to jam this stuff in anybody's face, obviously. That's not a good way to do that. But show a little bit of intrigue. It's fun to talk about, right? I get stimulated by that. Oh, here, check this out. This is really cool, right? And then, if they have enough interest in it and they seem to kind of let their guard down in the whole, like, I'm nervous around a blade thing, then it can be really fun to pick something out that's meant, specifically for them, where you take, what they said. If you talk about what they do day to day, take what they said and then you buy something that you think is catered towards their convenience. I love doing that. I love that. I despite my rant about the stabby guys, right? I love being open and welcoming to new people on this channel, right? I want people from all different walks of life to come and enjoy this stuff together, but at the same time, I want to try and steer people towards the idea of knives being tools, because that's largely what they are, right? So I'm going to do that occasionally, but I like talking about all the different elements, right? I like, new people coming in, discovering the knife world, discovering that there's so much fascination with this stuff, right? It's always funny to read a comment and someone's like, I had no idea. I love reading this. Someone will say, I had no idea that, knives got this expensive, or that there was this much, like, intrigue with them. I didn't know there was a knife world where people got really obsessed with this, but I'm interested. This is interesting. I'm going to watch more content. I love that. I'm like, yeah, we're here. We exist, right? And this is really cool, and you might really like some of this stuff. You might get a lot of joy out of it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, they're just objects you're going to cut open boxes and stuff with, but, you might find that you really enjoy diving into the little intricacies, right? I have multiple friends. I'm blessed in that I have multiple friends in my personal life that had no care or interest in knives, and I introduced them, specifically Rob, who has been brought up many times since I worked back at the dealership, Ricky, and then my friend Taryn, all went from basically not even being aware that this was a world to being, really, sort of extreme knife people, right? Now, some people could say, well, why did you do that to them? Now they're all going to go in debt. Each of them have actually purchased multiple high-end knives, and as far as I can tell, it's only brought them happiness. So, yeah, there is a negative. That is a negative part of this, right? If you get really, really interested in knives, at one point or another, you're going to start drooling over really expensive stuff and feeling like you got to buy it, right? So, yeah, that can be a negative side effect, but no, each of these guys really likes it, and they understand and appreciate a lot of these elements, and they found that, having a convenient and easy to manipulate cutting tool on your person every day does make little tiny things more interesting. Knife people, how much does it make your internals curl up to watch someone open a box with a pair of dull scissors? Oh my God, I'm going to walk away from the camera just thinking about, I watched my mom open up a thickly taped box with scissors the other day and just struggled through getting the dull tip into a position. Then you cut, and it comes off the tape, and you start to cut the cardboard, and it's too thick. You got to reposition. Then the tape gets all wound up and everything. You can't open this. It's just a mess, right? I mean, I'm honestly, I sound like one of those commercials. It's like, have you ever tried to scrub spaghetti sauce off of your bathtub? Well, now they're super clean, right? I sound like one of those commercials. It just shows like a black and white image of some idiot like trying to scrub their shower with a potato. Obviously it's not that hard. I'm being dramatic. I just had a lot of caffeine. I stood there in silence and just watched her open it. And it made me mad because I recently bought her a pocket knife, a little lightweight. I told her, I said, this This is an item of convenience. And for her, you know, she's got arthritis, right? Her hands aren't very strong. So I got her a knife that was small and lightweight and easy to manipulate, something that you could pull. It's a locking blade. It was something you can pull apart with 2 hands. Nice, thin, just to make her life easier, right? And she opted for this, you know, this scissors. Obviously, scissors are more beneficial in other circumstances. She opted in this situation for the scissors, and I stood there in silence and watched her struggle to open this box. And at the end of it, I was like, why don't you use your knife? And she said, oh yeah, I forgot I had that, right? It's if you're a knife person, right? If you're not a knife person, then you're just a guy or gal watching another person open a box with scissors, and the struggle isn't apparent to you, you know. I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper, right? But if you're a knife person, watching someone do that is, it's like imagining flossing with barbed wire. It is so difficult to watch. A knife will just and just cut. If it's a sharp, right? Somebody who's keeps a nice, simple, something like this. CJRB Rhea, a nice, simple, fully flat ground blade that's nice and thin behind the edge. Something like this. One cut on the sides. You're into the box. You can probably pry the rest of it up with your hands. Take 1 second. I don't know about you guys, but the process of opening the box is not the fun part for me. I like to get on with my day and get to whatever part of my day I'm actually excited for. So little things like opening a box, that's a moment in time that I want to get through quickly. So I just want it open. I don't like to sit there and, oh boy, it sure was well packed. Oh goodness. I don't like to mess around. I'm kind of imitating my mom there. I love my mom, but I'm kind of imitating my mom there, who's just, you know, some people are probably going to come down on me like, hey, your mom sounds happy. She's just living in the moment. If she wants to open a box with a pair of scissors, let her do it. All right, fair enough, right? But for me, somebody who's not a, how well packed is this box and how, you know, taped up is this box enthusiast, right? I don't really like, I just want it open. So that's the kind of stuff that makes me want to give a person a knife. Is you seem to be having an excessively rough time with this package. It's we're going on 45 seconds now, and the contents of the box is yet to be revealed, and my brain is about to explode. So here's a pocket knife. That sounds really sarcastic. Sounds really elitist and sarcastic. It's not actually how it comes. That, you know, that wouldn't be a situation. It'd make me want to give that person a knife, but you know, when I have conversations with people about what they do, right, day to day in an office, and I'm like, you do cut open like the guys who work with my brother at the parts department of the dealership. They all are constantly opening up boxes and packages and doing stuff like that. And I love talking with them. I love talking with them about different edge geometries, different types of knives, right? And while a box cutter probably would solve most of their issues, I think most people can agree that box cutters are just effing boring. And yeah, they are utilitarian and they're cost efficient, but my God, are they boring. Boo, box cutters. I'd much rather carry a cool knife, and I'd much rather share my love for stuff like that with somebody else who I think might appreciate it. Somebody who does make use of objects like that day to day and might appreciate those additional elements if they had an object that could cut and also had those additional elements. And most of the time when I see that opportunity to talk with people, I end up being right. It's a great example of that. The QSP Penguin. This is definitely a knife I would give as a gift and have. I've actually given 3 people the QSP Penguin this year. This is a $30 knife, D2. It is in an incredibly... the blade shape is perfect for EDC. A simple, straight Wharncliffe blade, right? It'll fit most people's hands. It looks nice. It looks simple. It's very easy to manipulate. Liner lock, right? You just use the thumb stud and then this package opener, right? But it's a good knife. It functions well. It's got D2 steel, right? It's fairly resilient. It's going to make it through the day, and it's going to bring the... Actually, this one's an S35VN because it's the Knives Plus edition, but the D2 version comes in at $30, right? This is a knife that I think people who have no idea the knife world exists, you know, but are doing things day to day that you know, requires a tool or would, you know... Having a tool like this on their person would make their day a little bit easier. This is the type of thing that I introduce. I love giving something like, check this out. I promise you, you carry this, you're going to find that day to day, everything's just a little bit easier, and you have this thing that you appreciate because it makes it that much easier, and because it has little elements that make it interesting, right? It's fun. I like doing that. Giving knives as gifts, something that I enjoy so much. I think, honestly, I like to give knives as gifts, like meaningful, not just like, here's some guy like this, it's my second cousin's girlfriend or boyfriend, and they're going to be in my life for one moment, and they have no interest. I'm not just going to come out of nowhere and be like, I like knives, here's a knife, use it. I'm not going to do that, because there's no depth to that. There's no meaning to it, right? But having a conversation with somebody who shows a little bit of interest, right? You find out what they do. Giving them, not necessarily turning them into knife people, but just offering up an object that is going to make their day a little bit easier and that you think they might appreciate. I love that, especially finding out that they actually do use it. My brother-in-law, both of my brother-in-laws actually have pocket knives that I've given them now, and they both, one of them, I see it in his pocket all the time, and it just lights my day up, man. My wife's brother, actually, I gave him one of these, the QSP. Did I keep calling that the parrot? It's the penguin, not the parrot. I messed that up. Stop naming your knives after birds that begin with P. It's messing me up. But anyways, I see it in his pocket all the time, and I'm like, how's that thing treating you? And he's like, oh, I love this thing, man. I use it all the time, and I look at it, and it's got crap all over the blade, right? Whatever, that's fine. It's his. He can use it. It's okay if he doesn't clean. I don't care as long as he's using it and it's bringing him joy. But I love knowing that, not only he accepted the gift, but he carries it and uses it because he's found that it actually does. It makes his life easier. And I know 100% it probably makes him a little less, because if he was nervous in the beginning about knives, it probably makes him less nervous. It probably makes him look at knives in a different way, right? Because he carries it because it's a tool. It's a convenient tool. He uses it as a tool, right? So how the human brain works is you start doing that, right? Then you assume that there are other people who think like you, and then your viewpoint of said object or said circumstance starts to change. You start to adapt to that, right? That's healthy. I would much prefer that the rest of the knife world, who's either fearful of knives or considers them weapons or catalysts to do harm, start thinking of knives as tools and carrying them and using them as tools. Because then, in a perfect world, if that were the case, the mentality changes, the majority mentality changes, then some of these ridiculous laws get lifted, right? I'm not actually doing this in the hopes that it's actually going to change something, but it brings me a little bit of joy to bring somebody else a little bit of joy. And I'd like to think that a lot of you guys think exactly the same way as me. I know I'm not flipping these. This is the new Spartan Bronze Series or Field Grade. This is the Aster. Really cool. CTS XHP, Taiwan made. It's an affordable Spartan, actually. Les George collab. CTS XHP, Phosphor Bronze, and G10 coming in at like $135. Really cool. Definitely check that one out. Hinder MP1. You can't get this right now. This one's in full titanium. Pretty cool. XM24. This is mine. This is the Dark Horse Black Stonewashed, which has got a lot of oily fingerprints all over it. That's what you're seeing up there on the blade. Very, very cool. A knife that's not going anywhere anytime soon. We have the Andrew Demko 8020 in full titanium. My favorite knife of all time, period. I love this thing. I don't think I'll ever get rid of it. We have the Reich. This is a beautiful knife, and it's a number. It's like a model code, like numbers and letters. Now I've been forgetting it, but very cool. This was sent in by a viewer as a gift for me. M390 blue marble carbon fiber. We've got a nice bead blasted titanium frame, titanium pocket clip, titanium backspacer, titanium hardware. Just absolutely beautiful. This is a beautiful knife. Thank you so much, Tom. Really nice of you. Being on the receiving end of that, by the way, right? It felt so good as a knife guy getting a gift from another knife guy. It's wonderful. It's such a great feeling. So thank you, Tom. Your gift is very much appreciated. I love that thing. QSP Penguin. Knives Plus Edition in S35VN. We have the Spyderco Shaman outfitted with titanium scales from Flytanium. Very nice. Guys, I think that's going to be pretty much it for this Knife Guy episode that was basically just an extension of another episode that I did. But in any case, I hope that it brought you some form of entertainment and joy. If that is the case, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.